Hey guys, welcome to our Ikoria Lair of Behemoth set review, where we're going to go over some of our favourite and most interesting looking cards from the new set. This set review will be done in two parts, one on monocoloured cards and one on multicoloured cards, so make sure to check out that second video as well. Cal, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So the first card we've got, so we're going to do it in colours like we did the C20 set review, except this time the multicoloured cards will be in a separate video. So we're going to start off with white, and to start us off will be Draneth Magistrate. And so I put together this list, and I just chose some interesting looking cards that might do stuff in not specifically like Commander or Modern or Pioneer, but just cards that could be done in either of those or even Legacy or Vintage. And this one actually prevents Commanders from being cast, which I was just in mana and no one else can play their Commanders.
This is going to be a disgusting card in Commander, and I can't wait to play it in all my white decks. Everyone's gonna hate me, but it's just like, it's one of those cards where you're just like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah, it's going to be targeted for removal basically every time.
Yeah, and I think in other formats as well, it's got applications, like it hoses graveyard strategies. It in Standard, all the escape cards that are, there's a couple that are a problem. This just turns them off. It's a 1/3 body, so it can block. It goes nicely against mono red, blocking all their 2/1s and 1/1s. So yeah, I think this is a good card. Would probably see some Standard play, and could definitely. Yeah, I think in Commander there's gonna be some. There's gonna be some not so nice games with this card in play. But yeah, I think it's good, and it's also human if that ever comes up. I think with some of the new
modern humans could be playable. It's a 2-drop.
Yeah, 2-drop.
Could be playable as a sideboard card.
Yeah, against graveyard strategies and other cards similar. Cards that
and companions in work
and stuff from other places. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's definitely going to see some play. Alrighty. Next card I think is something that a lot of people have been looking at and have been talking about. Yeah. Probably one of the best cards from the set is Luminous Broodmoth, or Mothra if you get the Godzilla version of the card. For this one, this card is very powerful. Reanimates any creature you control as long as the creature doesn't have flying, and then when it does get reanimated, it reanimates it with flying or with a flying counter, which is another of the new mechanics from the set. It's definitely cool. It's a 3/4 body with flying. It's decent, and just reanimating your creatures without flying is a very powerful effect. As a 4-drop, outside of Standard and maybe Pioneer, I don't see this being played much. It's quite taxing, double pips. But I think it could definitely work, and I believe it also goes into some combos as well.
Yeah, there's one which, there's a creature, I can't remember the name, which prevents counters from being placed on creatures. You can just infinitely recur it.
Yes, Solemnity is it is an enchantment from Hour of Devastation or Amonkhet. And it says players, creatures, and I think artifacts can't get counters. So as long as the creature doesn't normally have flying, you just get, that creature can never die. And just slap some Shroud and Hexproof on this thing. And I think it's good. Definitely some sort of, that's the kind of thing you'd see in Commander a lot. But it's interesting.
The next one we've got is Lava Brink Venturer. And I think, I don't know about this one. It seems like another Haktos, but then again, it also doesn't.
Yeah. So choose odd or even.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's...
Right, so it's similar to Haktos, but it's cheaper, but then also...
random.
Yeah, it's not random, which is that's a powerful buff, I guess. If someone's playing one of the companions, there's two of the companions that talk about only even or odd CMC in your deck completely. So against those decks, they might not be top tier, but against that, you can just play it and choose the opposite of whatever their companion is, and this thing is just the perfect counter to their whole deck. I like that.
Yeah.
Although I think that cards that just hose one specific strategy, they're often sideboard cards, because they're not versatile enough. But I think this card is, because you can choose, it does have versatility. It's a 3/3, and yeah, I think this could see some play. Commander, probably not. Maybe Pioneer. It's, 3-drop, still not the greatest, but yeah, I think Standard is where this thing could definitely see play in tier 3, 4 decks, looking to get around certain removal spells. Yeah,
I just thought it was,
I think,
an interesting card to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's cool. All right, moving on to blue now. We have Escape.
We've got Escape Protocol.
Yep.
Which is a cycling card. It fits with the cycling theme of Jeskai, I think it is, in the set. So it's definitely a cool flicker card. Like, if you're going to be playing cycling flicker, then it's a very powerful card. Like,
yeah,
even if it's just the off chance that your cards have an ETB in a cycling deck, then it can just get you value.
Yeah, I think.
And since it's a 2-drop, it's good.
I mean, it only only artifacts or creatures. All right, yeah. So you can't necessarily bounce enchantments and bounce, especially like auras. Because something I've seen done is flickering auras and moving them around between your creatures. So you can't do that, but that's quite a niche thing. I like it. It reminds me of Astral Drift and Astral Slide, which can bounce your opponent's stuff, but they are also higher mana costs. You also don't have to pay when you cycle the card to be able to actually get the ability. Yeah, I think this could. I don't know. It's interesting. It wants you to have ETB effects and then also be able to cycle stuff, which I don't think is necessarily too hard to put into one deck. But it's interesting. In the right deck, it could definitely have some good options.
So the next card we've got is Ominous Seas, which are infinite combos with Greater Good. Because you sacrifice. So once you get to 8 Foreshadow counters on the Ominous Seas, you can remove the 8 and create a Kraken. And then you can sack the Kraken to the Greater Good to draw 8 cards, putting 8 Foreshadow counters on the Ominous Seas. You need to discard the 3 cards after, so oh well, but it doesn't really matter. And then you sacrifice so you create an 8/8 with the
so you draw through your whole deck,
counters,
and then Thassa's Oracle for the win.
Basically, it's also a good card outside of the Greater Good Infinite combo, because generally in like a lot, most formats, you're just trying to get recurring value, like especially Commander. You're just trying to get value, draw cards, and just this being like an effect of that is pretty good. Like, it's not too hard to draw 8 cards.
And it also plays into cycling again, which is prominent throughout this set. I think in draft, this is a great thing to pick up if you're looking to have a lot of cycling in your deck, because it just kind of gets you somewhere. It also cycles itself, which is nice, because at a moment when you just don't need it, maybe you can just cycle it away for another card. I think cycling is great in a draft environment because it makes the draft flow a lot nicer. You don't have to worry about drawing cards and then going, oh, this isn't useful, because you can just, every card has an alternate, it draws you into your next card, and it makes it feel a lot smoother when you're playing in that kind of environment. So I'm really happy to see cycling again.
Yeah, and since it's an uncommon, it's not going to be too hard to pick up if you're looking to find it. Not going to be too much money.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Is reconnaissance mission. So it's like functionally a similar effect to Biden of Thassa, which I thought was interesting. It's the same mana cost, except on the singularly an enchantment, not an artifact, enchantment, legend thing, which the Biden was. And it, instead of the 1 and a blue tap activated ability, which makes all your opponent's creatures attack each if able, it has cycling, which is playing again into the feel of the cycling theme of the not the deck, the cycling theme of the set.
Yeah, so I think in draft this is actually a really nice card to pick up. It can definitely draw you quite a few cards if you get a decent board state, and I think I'd say that the Biden is better in terms of commander, because making your opponent's creatures attack means that then it's free opening for you to then get in with your creatures and draw cards. It also can be used as like a political tool in Commander. Reconnaissance Mission is probably playable in Standard. You can draw quite a few cards in and like an aggressive deck. It's like maybe a curve topper to then draw you into new threats as they answer them, as your opponent starts to answer your early game stuff. And then I think if you draw it earlier than you need it, like turn 3 maybe, you can cycle it for a new card. I think this is a nice card. In draft, this will be definitely very powerful, with both the cycling and then drawing you tons of cards later in the game. I think this is a really nice card.
Yeah. So the next card we've got is Shark Typhoon, which I thought was a hilarious card because of Sharknado. Even aside from the fact that Sharknado, it's a really powerful card as well. Like, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it's a 6-drop, which hurts it. But in stuff like Commander and maybe even Standard, I'm not sure, it's playable. And in draft, it will be kind of pretty funny to just play it on like turn 6 probably, and then just bunch out a bunch of play a bunch of non-creature spells, get a bunch of sharks from that. Yeah, and you can also cycle it away and create a big shark.
Yeah, so what this reminds me of is Metallurgic Summonings from Kaladesh, which was a similar enchantment costing 3 and 2 blue. So, not as expensive in terms of mana cost, but double pips. And that only cared when you cast instant or sorcery spells, so also getting it off artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers is nice on the Shark Typhoon. But then this one, the Metallurgic Summonings, the good thing about it was you could pay 5 mana and exile it to return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. You can only cast, but then this one also created artifact constructs, which obviously didn't have flying. Then I think Shark Typhoon, I like the fact that you can cycle it for 2 and just get the card, or cycling it for 3 puts a 1/1 on the board, which is already nice. But then later in the game, maybe you don't want to cast it because you don't have any other cards in hand, but you just need a new card and you just want to get a threat on the board. Cycle this for, maybe upwards of like 7 mana. You get a 5/5 and you get to draw your next card early and maybe play that as well. I think I like Shark Typhoon. It's cool, and I think it will definitely see play. In draft, I think in the right deck, this can be a powerhouse. You play this and you just start casting your hand, even if your hand isn't necessarily very good. The fact that you can just overwhelm the board with, medium, maybe small, or maybe even large creatures is definitely very powerful.
Yeah. So the next one we've got, we're moving on to green now. I may have forgotten to say that we moved from white to blue, but just in case you didn't see, we did. The first green card we've got is Charge of the Forever Beast, which I believe there's a counterpart in red, which we're going to talk about later. There may even be a cycle, but I didn't see the other ones. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks playable in standard, maybe. It could see playing like standard, like Simic, because they've got like big creatures. Maybe not, because they're just aiming to play big Krasis, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it, but I can't seem to find the cycle. I can't even find the red one.
Well, the red one is called Blitz of the Thunder Raptor.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just specifically looking at the Charge of the Forever Beast. Yeah, I think revealing a creature card from your hand isn't a massive cost. Unfortunately, it does mean it's not, like information advantage for your opponent, but you probably were going to cast that creature sooner or later, so the chance of it having a massive impact. If it's a big creature, maybe it will encourage them to hold on to their removal, but then holding on to your removal can also be a downside, because if you got a couple of creatures on board already and you're swinging, you show them a large creature, they want to hold their removal spells, and you can just continue to swing. So sometimes it can play against your opponent when they know you have a big creature in hand.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, the actual, obviously the card's effect itself. Yeah, like that's a removal spell for both a creature or planeswalker is very useful. I think green has a lot of good removal cards printed like recently in the past year or so.
Green's had everything printed in the last year or so.
Seems to be getting a lot of good cards. Unfortunately, I don't like. Yeah. But I like the card. It reminds me of Titan's Presence, which is similar. You got to exile a creature. Yeah. It was the same. It was 3 colorless mana, and you got to. It was an instant though. Was the other thing. And you revealed a creature card from your hand, and you exiled a creature with power less than the revealed creature's power. I think the interesting thing here is it's also damage based, which isn't necessarily something you see super often in green. Compared to
except for like fights though.
Yeah, like you see fight, but that doesn't necessarily refer directly to damage. I mean, technically they deal damage equal to their power to each other, but yeah, I haven't. You don't see super like tons of spells that talk about green dealing direct damage to a creature or planeswalker. But I think it's interesting. It gives green another way to kill planeswalkers, and there continues to be problematic planeswalkers in Standard. So I think this could be a good way to deal with them. Without having to put creatures. Yeah, you don't have to put a creature onto the board to be able to have that creature kill that planeswalker that's a problem. Yeah.
So the next one we've got is a really cool card that I think everyone was hyped for when it was spoiled, is Colossification.
7 mana, tap down your opponent's final creature and swing in for lethal.
Yes, that's definitely what I was thinking of. Yes.
No. +20/+20 is crazy. Like, this is... It's kind of like you put this on the creature and they're kind of saying, this is going to tap the creature, but if you can... Like,
your next turn.
If you can't do something about this creature... obviously the enchantment gives your opponent kind of one turn at least to deal with it before it starts swinging, but it kind of it's kind of like it's saying, hey, kill this or you're dead, because +20/+20, there's a lot of creatures with trample, a lot of playable creatures with trample. Can you imagine this on like a Hydroid Crisis or something crazy like that? It's just like, yeah, it's very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, and like 20 damage is enough to kill anyone in like most constructed formats. Even in Commander, it's a 2-hit kill generally, and if you're playing this late game, they could be on 20 or less life. I mean,
something interesting, I think, with Hydroid Crisis is you can stack the triggers with something Sionia, the one that goes infinite with Shielded by Fate.
Oh yeah.
Because when you can oh no, that's on the Shielded by Faith. Never mind. I was thinking being able to move enchantments around. I'm sure there's a card that lets you do that anyway. But like you can move your auras around, because then you play something like a Hydro Crisis, stack it so you move the aura before it checks what its power is, and then you draw a ridiculous amount of cards.
Yeah. If someone can find something like that, it'll be broken, but it's definitely not in Standard, I can tell you that. And you need to have the Colossification down before that.
Yeah. Oh, never mind, I've just checked. Hydroid Crisis cares about the X that you pay, not its power. Never mind. That's sad. Anyway. Do we want to... I
mean, if you were to sack it to greater good, you'd get 20 cards.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a bunch of stuff like that. Okay, next we've got Gemrazor, which is our first mutate creature we're talking about. This looked like a cool card for enchantment and artifact removal. Generally anywhere. Like, if you're playing a mutate deck, cool, all the better for you. You can dole out enchantment and artifact destruction all you want. But aside from that, if you're playing this once, it destroys an artifact or enchantment, and you get a 4/4 reach trample body for 3 if you have another creature.
Yeah, I think this is very cool. I think this is going to see quite a bit of play in Standard in sideboard cards, because you can put it on like something like Simic Flash. Obviously, this doesn't have Flash, but like other Simic decks maybe where you have a lot of non-human creatures anyway. You put this in your sideboard and you play against a deck that's putting lots of enchantments and artifacts out. You play this and you just mutate it onto something, and you get... It puts a 4/4 body into play. If your current creature has any abilities, it gets those as well. I think this is a very cool card.
Yes, and it has a Godzilla counterpart, which is cool.
Oh yes, I've just got it here. Anguirus Armored Killer. Yeah, if anyone knows what this is in terms of Godzilla lore, let me know, because I have no idea.
I have no clue either. So the next one we've got is the pseudo King Kong of the set. It's Kogla the Titan Ape.
Yeah. I think they wanted
again, this looks like...
This is where they want to include King Kong to kind of complete the cycle, but because the people who own the rights to Godzilla don't own the rights to King Kong. I've just learnt this. So they've put King Kong quotation marks into the set, but they can't actually they can't do like a one of like the Godzilla style skins, I guess, to the card, because it's not because Wizards, by buying this rights to Godzilla or renting it, whatever, that doesn't give them the rights to King Kong, so they can't do that. But yeah, this is their best attempt at it, I guess, without getting into legal trouble.
And again, this looks like a playable card in Simic, Nissa decks in Standard, and they definitely needed more.
It's great. It's a removal spell. It destroys artifacts and enchantments, and then it can even gain indestructible if you're running a couple of humans. And then it's a massive body that's definitely putting a clock on your opponent that they need to deal with.
Yeah, and that's why.
Yeah,
Simic is broken.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't draw you cards like the Dream thing from Theros, Dream Trawler. But it's got the same kind of ability where Dream Trawler, you pay a cost and you give it hexproof. This one, pay a cost, you give it indestructible. It's kind of got that same thing where you can protect it and then just keep swinging. But yeah.
Yeah. That's only if you've got a good human that you can keep bouncing that's cheap.
Yeah. And you pretty much.
Or if you've got a lot of humans.
Indestructible. Yeah. Alright, next card is Ram Through.
So I found this notable because it's another spell with trample. If your creature has trample, it does the excess. So pseudo a spell with trample. There's another spell that we're talking about later, which has pseudo trample as well. But I just thought this was a cool card because it is another type of spell with trample. That's what I put it in for.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I like the idea of spells with trample. I think it's kind of something that people have asked for quite a lot in the past. And then, yeah, we're now getting 2 spells with trample in this new set. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, the effect itself, it's another one of those deal damage equal to its power to another creature you don't control. So it's like Rabid Bite from quite an old set, I think. Innistrad, maybe?
A bunch of sets, yeah.
Yeah, Rabid Bite was something we've seen before. But this card is kind of like that, but better, I guess. It's definitely going to see play in Draft as a common for green decks and decks that are putting big creatures into play. It's a both removal spell, and then as long as you've got trample on your creature, it also lets you deal excess damage to your opponent, which could be game winning possibly, or just the difference between you having lethal on board that turn or next turn.
Yeah. So the next one we've got is one that I'm personally looking forward to picking up for my Animar deck. It's Vivian Monsters Advocate. So there's 2 mythic planeswalkers of the set, Vivian and Lukka, which we'll talk about later.
Well,
but Vivian, what?
Yeah, there's 3. It's Narset. We got a Narset reprint.
Oh, Narset, yeah.
Well, not reprint, but a new Narset. Yeah, it's cool. But anyway, let's talk about Vivian.
I don't want to talk about Narset. Vivian, she looks cool. She looks creature heavy, which I love for my Animar deck. She gets card advantage, which I need more of in my Animar deck, definitely. That's a joke, in case you were wondering. And it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It puts keywords on your creatures now with the new counters. It makes bodies to protect itself, and then the -2 like basically just doubling up your creatures so you can get lots of them. Unfortunately, I guess you can cast like your Ulamog off in your Animal deck off the top of your library, and then if you've -2 her, you also get like an additional card. But yeah, and I like the fact that you can also -2 her without her dying straight away. I mean, obviously, with quite a few of the cards that don't have like a ultimate ability that you have to work towards, they often don't kill the Planeswalker, like in War of the Spark. But
yeah, a lot of the rare
I also kind of like, but there are some cards that kind of, you know, older Planeswalkers that had like a minus ability in the middle, and you can often kill your Planeswalker straight away by using that ability. But yeah, I think this is a good Planeswalker. It's definitely gonna. I think it will probably see play in Standard. I mean, at the 5 mana slot, you are competing with cards like Nissa and some of the other 5 mana Planeswalkers that are just bonkers, especially from the Spark. So I think that is something you have to compete with. But I think this card has the ability to do it in the right deck. Like, obviously, some parts of it maybe aren't as good. Obviously, it doesn't give you a ridiculous amount of mana, but you know, similar to Nissa, it makes 3/3s, and then has an ability that is definitely viable and useful. Yeah.
Yeah. I still really want this card for my Commander deck, but...
Alright, so let's move on to Black.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive, I feel. So Black, Bastion of Remembrance. So I put this in because it's another Blood Artist type effect, and it's in Standard. What I thought.
Yeah, okay, well, not Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat.
Yeah, sorry. It's each opponent, not target opponent. But still, it looks like a really cool card. It looks like it might be playable in Standard because of graveyard strategies, like, aristocrat strategies, using like Corvold and stuff. They may not be sacking like creatures, but if they do, like,
you drain
it's
them.
A way to, drain them without needing to beat them down.
It puts a body on the board, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a cool card. But I think it's interesting. It could see play in like those mono black aristocrat style decks in Commander that people play quite a lot. And it's just another one of those Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat kind of cards that they can go infinite with again. Yay.
Hey, more infinite combos.
Or, I guess, a way to win off your infinite combo. Anyway, let's keep going. I think this card is very cool. And definitely going to see both play in Standard and a great pickup in Draft.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in possibly Pioneer and Modern as well. Like, this... Heartless Act.
I think we should say, okay. Heartless Act is the card.
Yes. And this looks like a better type of Doomblade, or a go to the throat.
Well, Cal, you can't just say it's a better Doomblade, because what if it's a Hydroid Crisis and it has counters on it?
Oh no. Hydroid Crisis.
Well, yeah. I think...
You just use another removal spell on that then.
Yeah. Well,
it's still a really good way to do it.
In most scenarios, it's better than Doomblade. But yeah, it's another one of those 2 mana effects where it's like, you get to kill a creature, but it's not quite just kill a creature. But yeah, I think also the utility side of being able to remove 3 counters, while I think that can kind of be saying, hey, you get to kill your Hydroid Crisis or another card that puts counters on itself. But also, like, just removing... like some of these new Vigilance, Flying, Death Touch, all that kind of counters from that we're going to see in Standard now with the new set. I think that's actually really useful. But yeah, and then obviously there's also other sorts of counters that we've seen throughout Magic's history that have come up, and I think in like older formats, if they ever become like a problem, this is always a card that can easily deal with that. I think it's interesting.
So the next one we've got was Hunted Nightmare, which is a cool card because it is a 4/5 for 3. If one of your opponent's creatures get a Death Touch counter, it is still a really cool card because...
Yes. But then it has Menace, so you can get around it if they only have one creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just don't need to, like, if they have no creatures, the counter just fizzles, so you get a 4/5 for 3, 4/5 Menace for 3, and in fast formats like Modern and Pioneer and stuff,
I think in draft,
Mono Black Aggro.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, in draft this is going to be huge. Mono Black Aggro in Pioneer just got a whole lot better.
Yeah, in draft I think this is going to be seriously good. Like, yeah, obviously it's a rare, so the chances of you finding it and picking it up aren't necessarily super high. But if you do, I think this is a massive bomb in any black deck that can absolutely win games. I mean, Menace is such an underrated thing. Like, having to block with 2 creatures on what is a relatively large body is actually quite bad. It can often end up with bad trades for your opponent, because especially if they're blocking with 2 lower toughness creatures, they end up having to sacrifice two cards for 1, and it ends up being a 2 for 1, which is already like card advantage or virtual card advantage. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
So the next one we've got, we're moving on to red. This is the one that I was talking about before that goes with the Forever Beast one. It's Blitz of the Thunderraptor.
Yeah, I do believe that this is the cycle. Referring to...
It is a cycle?
Yeah, it refers to the Apexes.
Right.
And the color of the card is connected to the central color of the 3-color pairing. So like let me just check this. Images. Yeah, so I think there's going to be a blue one for the Temur Apex, and then obviously the green one for the Sultai Apex, which we talked about, and then I guess I don't know what the other
Mardu one.
Yeah,
and it's just the wedges, so Mardu, Sultai, Temur. Okay,
yeah,
I have a mind blank.
Mardu one will be a
Abzan
one. And then the Jeskai one is the red one, which is correct according the Thunderraptor one is a Jeskai Apex. And then
it looks like a Jeskai Apex.
Yeah, and then Abzan will be, so whatever the Abzan Apex is, will get the black one of this cycle. Yeah. But I just can't find the rest of the cycle.
Oh, I can look on the MTG page.
Anyway,
I didn't
talking
see
of
the other.
We can come back to that or do it in our next video. Yeah, we'll maybe do it at the end of the multicolored cards. Anyway, Blitz of the Thunderraptor looks very cool. I mean, obviously, this is going to probably see play in those like Izzet decks that care about instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. It's not quite as good as something like, it doesn't have quite the range of caring about them as the Crackling Drake and stuff like that, because they also care about it in exile. So when you're jump starting cards. But I really like Blitz of the Thunderraptor. It looks cool. The fact that you get to exile it, like exiling creatures with all the escape in standard and all that kind of stuff, is definitely something to look for on your removal cards. And I think it's good. And at 2 mana, it's definitely playable. So pick this up in draft, I think, is if you're you're getting lots of like instant sorcery cards into your graveyard, then yeah, I think this will be good for. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm just looking. I found the white one, which is Will of the All Hunter. I can't find the blue one. It's just like not here. No, Boon of the Wish Giver is the blue one. And
because Tamar's central color is blue, and then the Apex of Wishes is the Tamar Apex. So yeah.
And then Call of the Death Dweller is the black one.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I just didn't think that the others were that notable. I could be wrong. I'm probably very wrong.
I think we should mention them at the end of this video if you can get them up. Anyway, so moving on,
right now.
Just to finish off red for now. So we have Everquill Phoenix. I think this is good. It's one of the mutate cards that, like, it's got the same CMC for mutate as it does for its normal mana cost.
Except not the double paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually slightly cheaper to mutate it, technically, I guess. I mean, it's a 4/4, and I think the fact that it's the same kind of Phoenix thing again, where you're able to bring it back one way or another. I think this is definitely an interesting card. I like it. And then
it also pairs well with a lot of other Phoenixes. Like if they get rid of the cons to get it back, like Rekindling Phoenix, when it dies, it creates a token which at the beginning of your upkeep it sacks and returns it. The Rekindling Phoenix. So if they manage to get rid of the token, you can still bring it back.
And then this is got its own Godzilla card, Destoroya.
Perfect lifeline.
Yeah, right. So this is like just obviously something. I don't know much Godzilla lore, so in fact, the only Godzilla movies I've even seen are like the new ones. So I have no idea what some of these older, more enfranchised like sides of the universe are. But yeah, it looks cool, so that's always cool. That's always good. Anyway, I guess next one.
Yes. So this is the trample spell I was talking about, Flame Spill. So it's a functional reprint of like the other. There was a card that did exactly the same thing, except it said trample on it instead of excess damage.
It was an uncard.
Yeah, it was in an unset.
Yeah. And I think it was meant to be there on purpose because they were kind of saying this is going to be something that you will see at some point. And I like it.
Yeah.
It's a very cool card. It is a functional reprint of the card. Except the text is obviously slightly changed, but it's the same effect. In standard, it has to compete with Lava Coil at 2 mana. And Lava Coil Exiles, I believe, as well.
Yes, if it dies.
So that is definitely an advantage to Lava Coil as well. At 2 mana, I probably think Lava Coil is more playable as a damage-based removal spell. But I think this could see some play. And once again, in draft, it looks like an interesting card for draft. And as a removal spell, it's probably not like as good as Heartless Act. But then again, in an Ikoria draft environment where the counters are a prominent part of the set, and in the draft environment, this could probably be better than Heartless Act, maybe. Although, once again, 3 mana, higher than 2 mana. So, I think we'll see. But I like the card.
It still looks like a funny card, but anyway.
Yeah. Now we get our next Planeswalker, Lukka, Coppercoat Outcast.
Again, it's a 5 mana Planeswalker that is the counterpart of Vivian.
Yeah.
In the set. And it looks cool. It has an ultimate instead of a passive ability. I like the -7 of it is pretty easy to get to, and like it looks like a really cool concept.
I think it's interesting. It's like, I mean, it feels similar to a lot of other cards that want to like cheat out big threats. It has. I like the fact that you can just kind of play it and or instantly be getting card advantage from your creatures. So like playing this and Vivian in like a Gruul-based creatures deck, I think it's something interesting. As you have both planeswalkers giving you a lot of advantage in card advantage when you're playing with creatures, and then the fact that you can just turn your small creatures possibly into bigger creatures with this is very good. Well, obviously it's guaranteed to be a bigger creature because it has to find something with a higher CMC, which I think is interesting because in like in older formats, modern maybe, where you have a lot of 1-mana dorks, play those, ramp out Lukka, and then just -2, and the whole point is to drop Emrakul or something and just win the game with that.
Oh yeah, you could just have like only 1-mana creatures.
Yeah.
And then ramp into Lukka and get an Emrakul on like turn 3.
Yeah.
If you can.
The ultimate is interesting. I think if this was like a 4-mana card and maybe like had a bad static ability and then maybe lost its -2 maybe even. I think this could be really cool in the mono red deck that we've currently got in standard, although we know that doesn't need any more buffs. But
red always exists, so yeah.
True, but like I think this could be cool because that -7 maybe is more applicable and could be like a finisher for a deck when you stall out and your opponent starts to stabilize. And then also
it's a finisher for aggro.
Yeah, but the problem is it's 5 mana, which is kind of unattainable in an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
Like Torbran is already pushing it, and that's only because Torbran is really good and just makes all your like direct damage effects so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But still, I think it's cool. I think the card's cool.
It's still a really cool card.
Yeah,
I could see myself making a deck in Modern trying to get out an Emrakul, or even in Pioneer to get out like one of the return the Battle for Zendikar Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Out.
The new ones.
It still looks.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah. So we'll go on to our last red card, and then we'll quickly come back do those other cycle cards.
Yes. So we've got Yidaro, Wandering Monster. This looks like a cool card. It reminds me of Etrada from what is it, Guilds? Has.
Well, Etrada is kind of different, but it's like got a similar effect of shuffling itself into your library, I guess.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't really see the similarities. But I mean, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. I like the fact that you, it's something that you can just cycle over and over again, and it's kind of just there for the off chance that maybe, you get to put an 8/8 trampling hasting thing into play. I think the other advantage of it is it's like you can cheat it into play later down the line and then like mutate onto it maybe as an 8/8 with trample and haste.
Yeah. And the Godzilla variant of the card is Godzilla Doom Inevitable.
Yeah, and I like the fact it's a dinosaur turtle.
Yeah.
I love that. We get a dinosaur turtle and it's big. It's a big dinosaur turtle. Yeah, I'm interested in this.
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah, so we've got the 3 that we missed out on, which I didn't find until afterwards. we've got the first one is the white one, which is Will of the All Hunter.
Yep.
Which goes along with the All Hunter card.
Snapbacks, Apex of the Hunt. Yep.
Yes, that one.
Yep. Cycles for 2, and then it also can. It's like one of those other +2/+2 for 2 mana in white, but the fact that it can also give them permanently by giving it counters if it's blocking, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, and giving it permanently, like 2 counters for 2 mana at instant speed with cycling is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's quite a powerful card. Alright.
It is quite hard to get and to make it survive, but it is a cool combat trick.
Yeah. Okay. In draft, I think it's where it's going to see play.
Oh yeah, for sure. So the next one we've got is Boon of the Wishgiver. And I don't really like this card that much, to be honest. It's more applicable in like draft or if you can cheat it out.
Yeah, I think
like,
at 6 mana
just
for drawing 4 cards.
It's a bit much.
Draw 4 cards.
Even if it has
5 mana normally, I think. Maybe. I could be wrong there.
Draw 3 cards is usually 4 mana, so I just feel like there's a lot of better ways to get it instead of tapping yourself out. Like,
yeah,
it's like for one more blue, you could do this on a Gadwick, and I'd still rather do that.
Yeah,
like pay 7 for a 3/3 body whenever you cast a blue spell, tap and a non-land permanent, and you get 4 cards. Like, it's even with cycling, I just don't like this card, to be honest.
No. Normally it is 6 mana for 4 cards.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so
okay.
It's straight up Opportunity. I think it's the most normal one. Instant speed, 6 mana, draw 4 cards. Although that is target player. This one is sorcery speed, 6 mana, same mana cost. They both have double blue and 4 colorless. But this is also an uncommon, and it's draw 4 cards with cycling 1. I think this actually, like, obviously it's not amazing. And even in draft, it's quite high costed. But I think the fact that it has cycling 1 definitely makes up for the fact for such a high mana cost. Like, just when you do not need it, you can just cycle it away and get something better.
Yeah. I do see the attraction of this card, but I still prefer to use Treasure Cruise in my Pioneer deck.
Yeah, but obviously we don't have Treasure Cruise in Standard.
Ugly.
And then we got the last one, Call of the Death Dweller. Returning 2 creature cards with total CMC 3 or less for 3 mana is quite good. Like, you can get 1 CMC 3 thing, or you can just get 2 with 3 divided by 2. So 1.5. But
1.5 CMC creatures. Oh,
yeah.
Come on. Bring them to us, Wizards.
Well, I mean, we did in
1.5.
Anyway. Yeah, no, but I think it's cool. And the fact that then you get to put Death Touch and Menace on them, I think it's cool. And the way it's worded here, I believe, you can put both the counters on one of them.
Put a Death Touch counter on either of them, then put a Menace counter. Yes, you can put both the counters on one of them.
Cool. So I think that's an interesting card. So do we want to talk about? That
brings our video to the end. Subscribe to the channel, do blah blah blah, all those things. Make sure you've got the notification bell turned on so you don't miss our next video, which will be the part 2 of this.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and check out our other videos. Thanks. Bye.